Thank you, Deanne. We now know how to grow those pumpkins and gourds. My name is Dorothy Skans. I'm a master gardener also, and I am going to show you some things you can do, and I consider them pretty amazing things from a decorative standpoint. You have the option at this point, so you've cut them off the vine because they're ripe, and you know you're not going to eat them. You're going to want to save them for decorating, so you're going to have to be pretty darn patient. You have a couple of choices here. You can leave your gourds in the garden on the vine. The vine eventually dies and the gourds fall off onto the ground. But unfortunately, in our area, we have critters, and critters, as we know, will come into any garden. So not actually an option for us. As you can see from the pictures on the screen, from Wellburn Gourd Farm, which is down in California, they just have acres and acres and acres of these vines. And once the vines have died away, they then just have acres and acres and acres of gourds that are drying. When they start getting their boxes ready, they literally have a staff that goes out and picks and chooses, depending on the shape of the gourd, from the field. So their process, obviously, is a long, drawn out, hundreds and thousands and who knows how many gourds. I recommend you check them out. This is not a paid advertisement, but I found working with these people very wonderful. It's very family oriented and they're gracious people. So we're going to look at the second option, which is to dry them after they're harvested. First thing you want to do is you want to get your gourds clean. Get the dirt off of them. So you can wash them in warm soapy water, that's like dish soap, or you can soak them for 20 minutes in a bleach and water blend, 1 part bleach to 9 parts water. And then once they've soaked for that 20 minutes, just rinse them with clear water. Let them air dry for about an hour. Don't leave them in the sun. Put them in a nice shaded area. And after that hour, go ahead and wipe them down with rubbing alcohol or distilled vinegar, and that gets all the soap suds or the bleach off of them. Then you put them in a well-ventilated area, and you give them about a week, because remember, they've been soaking in water, so they've soaked up that moisture, and they need a week to dry that moisture out before the next process. Now you're ready to start curing your gourds once that week is up. And again, I remind you, it's going to take patience. It could be up to 6 months, depending on the size of the gourd. So once they have had their week dry, move the gourds to a dry, well-ventilated area. Keep in mind that they're going to get real stinky. They're going to get moldy and stinky, so you don't want any pets licking on them. You don't want anybody around that's going to have to smell that molding process. To dry them, place them on a flat surface, either a pallet board or set up some screens. Don't let them touch each other, or you hang them individually like these ones in the photo. If you've got them laying on a surface, go ahead and turn them every 2 weeks maybe, and then keep them from touching each other, because what happens is if they start touching each other, they're going to prompt decay. And decay just is where you start getting soft spots. And if you get soft spots on any of your gourds that are drying, throw them away. There's no way back. After a while, start tapping them. And once you get this hollow sound, you will tap and you will recognize that they've dried. If you shake them, you're going to probably hear the seeds inside, unless they're still clinging to the sides. But you can tell a hollow gourd. They are very light. Now is the fun part. As you can see down in the lower right, they do get moldy. And these are probably a little closer together than I would recommend when you're storing yours, but then these people are storing hundreds at a time. So at this point, you're going to take your gourd, you're going to put it into a bucket half full of water, wet down some towels and lay those towels across your gourd, and then let them soak for about 15 minutes. Now the towel's over the top because gourds float, remember they're hollow. The towels over the top are going to keep the top wet while the water keeps the bottom wet. Once you've done that, after the 15 minutes, you get one of those wire dish scrubbers that you use in the kitchen and just start scrubbing that mold off. It's not a fun process, but it's a pretty easy process in the long run. They tell me it's very meditative. I've not tried it yet. Then once you've got them all cleaned off, and again, I'm going to say a wire pot scrubber. The plastic ones don't work as well, and you definitely don't want to use steel wool because you're going to scratch the gourd. So just regular kitchen wire pot scrubber. Then you just let them dry and probably give them at least 24 hours. And then you're ready to start. So here's a picture of, I ordered a box from Wellburn Farms. This was their misfit box, or they call it the challenge box. These are all the leftovers, the ones nobody else wanted. But here's a good look at what kind of gourds you're looking for doing decorative work. And as you can see there, we've got pear or teardrop, that goes by either name, round body, apple, tall body, canteen, bottle. And if you look at that big one in the middle, that came with my box. It's 2 feet tall. It is huge. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet. But you have the option of picking what kind of gourd you want to work with. And then you can paint, decoupage, burn, dye, stain, drill, carve. I could go on and on. There are a lot of different options for how you go about decorating your gourd. And you're going to see some wonderful options when Lori comes on later. If you're cutting your gourds, which you don't have to because you can always paint or decoupage, but if you want to cut them apart, you can use pretty much anything you would normally use in a craft. I've shown a picture here of the gourd saw. So that's an option. They're a little expensive, but you can use a craft knife, et cetera, et cetera. But I do recommend that you wear a mask, because once you cut it open, you've got a lot of dusty insides that you're going to have to clean out. And that stuff is pretty fine. If you have a problem with dust, you might want to even get one of the fancier masks with the filters. So take good care of yourself while you're working on your gourd. Scoop out the inside, save the seeds because you're going to want to replant those seeds. Once the outside is clean, you can paint it, do whatever you want with it. You can, at that point, you sand the entire outside of the gourd, and you want to do this before you start cutting or painting or staining or anything like that, because then the gourd will take the medium much better. Now, some gourds are going to stand flat or stand well with flat bottoms, some don't, some are very rounded. And so you have the option of finding a way to get your gourd to stand. And I'm showing a picture here of a gourd stand that you can buy, but they're easy to make. I've got them sitting on jars at home. So again, you can paint, including spray paint, acrylic paints, whatever, then varnish everything to make sure that the paint stays. You can decoupage, and I'll show you a sample of that in a minute here, where you're just using glue and coat that with varnish. Don't even have to paint, just glue pictures on the gourd and varnish it. You can also do what's called pyrography, which is, it's like wood burning, basically. So you're going to treat a gourd just like you would wood. In wood, that, excuse that one. You'll be treating it just the same as you would wood. There we go. You can dye it. Use any kind of alcohol ink, shoe dye, anything like that. You can stain it with stain that you use at home on your furniture. You can drill into it with a regular drill holes. You'll see a little bit of that later on also. Or you can carve it. Cut it in half, take the top off, carve holes in it, make a birdhouse, those kinds of things. The options are limitless. So here's examples of ones that I've done. The black one on the left, front and back, is my Halloween decoration. That was all decoupaged on once I painted the whole gourd black. Does take about 2 to 3 coats. The gourd in the middle, I just pulled a seed catalog and started cutting out plants and decoupaged those on. And that was really easy process. I'm used to decoupage, and so that probably took me a half an hour to get that one done. My little pumpkin on the right was strictly acrylic paint and varnish. If you were really industrious, you could cut those holes out and paint the inside black, and you'd get that same effect, but with a lot more work. The whole process has just been the most fun learning how to do these, because when we decided to grow gourds this year, we decided that we had to come up with some options. And a couple of us have gotten kind of hooked on it. So we'll probably be providing more gourds, decorative gourds, as we go along. If you want to see more, go ahead and check out these 2 websites. I'll leave this on for a second, and you will find more than you ever thought you would need. These are both wonderful websites. Thank you for coming today, and I'm going to turn it over to Lori.